Fears remain high that a Russian invasion of Ukraine is imminent, setting off a wider dispute between Moscow and the West, including potentially over gas. A Russian spokesman said Monday that the country would not cut off its supplies to Europe, but Moscow's leverage in energy politics is hard to ignore. It's the largest single deliverer of natural gas to the EU, and demand is only set to rise. Let's take a look at Germany. It's still very dependent on non-renewable energy sources in its energy mix. Those include fossil fuels and nuclear, and it accounts for around 50% of that total energy mix. Now, of that, almost a third comes from coal, 12% from nuclear, and there, about 14% from natural gas. Now, that figure is set to increase in the years ahead. For one, Germany is phasing out nuclear power later this year. Coal is going to be phased out by 2038, and renewables are only gradually coming onto the grid. Right now, 55% of German gas imports come from Russia. Now, that's a higher dependence than across the EU, where the average is 40% of imports from Russia. Now, for more on this, I'm joined by Jacopo Maria Pepe. He's an energy researcher with the German Institute for International and Security Affairs. It's also known as SWP. Jacopo, it's great to have you on the show. You know, Germany likes to say that Russia is just as dependent selling its gas to Germany as Germany is buying it from Russia. Is that true?
Well, good morning, first of all. Thank you. I mean, Russia is definitely dependent on gas sales to Germany. In terms of revenues, it needs to invest in new fields, and in terms of not losing lucrative market shares. I think, however, that this dependency argument has to be put in perspective of changing strategic environment. Gas revenues plays a relatively smaller role than oil in Russia's state budget, and Russia is also attempting to diversify gas flows to the east. So I think this dependency is relevant but not vital for Russia if it comes to geopolitical gains. So bluntly speaking, if the logic of geopolitics prevails and Putin considers the gas sales losses a price it is ready to pay, then the argument of the bilateral dependency might turn out wrong.
All right, let's look at the EU. Can it diversify its imports of gas? We know that the majority, or at least 40% across the EU, comes from Russia, more from Germany. What are the other options out there?
I think there are only three other options in the short to mid-term. The first one is basically using the gas storage facilities, so basically the gas stocked in the storage facilities, which in the current situation might probably help us to overcome the winter months, but at a very high price, because the storage facilities are emptier than in the past years. The second solution or alternative on paper could be importing additional volumes from other European producers, such Norway, Holland, or even extra-European producers like Algeria. But in all these three cases, we either have already reached the peak of production, or they cannot really produce and deliver more, just as Norway said a few days ago. And the third solution would be just buying on the spot markets additional liquefied natural gas volumes, which is a doable thing. And volumes are on the market there, but we do have two problems here. We have to be ready to pay much more. And second, we don't have the terminal capacities to compensate for the whole volumes we import from Russia.
Jacopo, briefly, if you can, will this force a rethink across the EU about how it deals with Russia in terms of gas?
I mean, this idea of rethinking the way we deal with Russia in terms of gas has been going on for quite a while. It's not something new. But we have seen that not much has happened other than trying to diversify sources of supplies and build up the needed infrastructure. And then we actually ended up having the possibility to import significant volumes besides Russia, for example, from the US or from Qatar. The point is that this is now a market, and which works according to the highest bidder, and you have to consider that for now prices are high.
All right.
So this is basically the trade-off.
We'll have to leave it there. Jacopo Maria Pepe, German Institute for International Security Affairs. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.